Welcome to Connect and Collaborate. My name is Alex Hopkins. I'm taking over for Tammy Schaefer today. And we have one of our recurring guests here, Anthony Lambatos from Footers Catering. And Anthony, it's always a pleasure to have you on board. We were just discussing on the break here that, sometimes November is maybe a little bit of a slow month for you. So what do you do instead in November then?
That's a good question, Alex. Thanks for having me again. It's always a pleasure to be back, and a lot of fun doing the radio show. So it's November, and the Thanksgiving holiday is right around the corner, and most people think that we're crazy busy because it is the holidays, but Thanksgiving tends to be a pretty quiet holiday at Footers. Most people do their own internal catering and preparation of the food for their Thanksgiving dinners. We have a few families that we help out, and they don't want to have to worry about anything. Really this time of year, it's about preparation for December. That is a very crazy time of year. Those first 3 weeks of December with corporate holiday parties.
Exactly.
And, personal holiday parties are one of our favorite times of year to be able to share in the celebration and the joy that everybody has. So there's a lot of preparation that goes in November to make sure that those parties in December are really successful.
Fantastic. Do you have any recurring people that ask you every year back?
Oh, yes,
I'm sure
we
you
have
a
parties.
few.
We've been in business for over 35 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a lot of clients that come back to us year after year for their holiday parties, and that's throughout the year. It's not just holiday parties. I mean, we talked last month about the Denver Public Library's Book Lovers Ball, their annual fundraiser, which was one of our favorite events that we get to do, and this was our 11th year catering the ball. So to partner with them and to have that each year is really cool. But yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So I'm sure you're pretty thankful to these companies that they ask you back every year. So talking a little bit about thanks today and how to give thanks to not just your customers, but your employees, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's I'm excited to have the conversation and talk about it. I mean, we always talk about, how do you create a great place to work? And, today focusing on giving thanks around this time of year with Thanksgiving right around the corner.
Yeah.
How do you do that in the workplace? How do you make sure that that employees are feeling appreciated? And so we're going to dive into some of that conversation. It's fun because we're coming off of one of our annual fun things, our Footers Cruise or Footers Vacation that we do every year.
Oh.
So we had that a couple weeks ago, and we had 28 people go on a cruise out of Long Beach, which was a lot of fun. It's something that we adopted a few years ago where, some of our team came to us and said, hey, will you organize a vacation for us? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like a vacation?
What do you mean? We don't take vacations.
Well, we take vacations, but you want me to organize it? And they said, oh yeah, no, we'll pay for it. We just want you to organize it so we can all go together. And I said, like, you guys don't work together enough? You want to go on vacation together? So they said, yeah, that's what we want to do. And so we, looked into it and found an awesome. It was our first iteration was a trip to Mexico, an all-inclusive resort, and we found a really good deal on it, and so we ended up offering to pay for 50% of our managers if they wanted to come. They got that contribution from us, and then they had to pay for the rest, and we had 20 people sign up the first year, and April and I were looking at each other like, either this is the worst idea we've ever had, or it could be one of the best.
Yeah.
And it's this was year 3, so we're still doing it, and it's worked out to be great. It's really evolved now, where everybody has a say in what we do. So, we've done the Mexico thing for 2 years in a row, and our culture club, which puts together a lot of our events and also focuses on our employee engagement, they split up and divided into, who's going to research all these different options. And so there was, doing a winter ski type thing. There was the cruise. There was Mexico. There was a Florida trip. There was all these different options that they wanted to research and then kind of put it to a vote. And so the cruise was what won out. And so
I'd
it was
pick
really
a cruise
cool.
too.
Well, and there's an element that it has to be enjoyable for us too. And planning a trip for that many people can be very difficult. And so when you
Daunting.
do something like an all-inclusive or a cruise, it really allows everybody to do the things that they want to do and enjoy, their focus without having to have a highly organized schedule. It's, food's highly abundant. You eat
Yes.
when you want to eat.
They have those midnight buffets,
Oh,
right?
we hit late night pizza a few times.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's where I would get myself in trouble on a cruise.
Yes, yes. And we had, one time that everybody came together for dinner every day. But otherwise, everybody kind of could do the things they want. And you had people that just want to lay by the pool and get some sun, and other people that want to do activities and fun things. And in the different ports, there were all kinds of different options. So really cool opportunity for our team to bond and to be together and to do something fun, especially after the year we've had, which has been just awesome.
Yeah.
But us, contributing to that is factors into how some of the ways we show some appreciation for our team.
That's absolutely awesome. And so you don't have any trouble with anyone getting sick of each other, because you do work together quite a bit, right? And you're working, I mean, it's catering, so you're
Yes.
working on the weekends and late into the evenings. This isn't a 9 to 5, you show up and leave and don't have to worry about work anymore. It's a continual process, and so people are willing to take vacations with each other after that.
They're excited about it. So we are so fortunate. We have an amazing group of people that shares a passion for the hospitality industry and loving what we do, and I think that translates over to an appreciation of enjoying the people they work with. We do an annual year in review video, and we were just putting feelers out there for different questions to see who we would film and how we would do it. And one of the things we asked is why do you love what you do? And I would say 60%, 70% of the answers were the people. I love the people I work with. I'm inspired by the people. So we're so fortunate to have a great group that really builds and feeds on each other, which is really cool. And again, as the owner, April and I feel so fortunate to be in that position.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you do. Every time you come in, you talk about creating a great team and doing things like this and showing that they do want to spend that much time outside of work
Yes.
with each other. Just goes to show that you do create a great team. You and April both are probably like the mom and dad of everyone, right? That's
That
probably
is
how
our
they
nickname.
look at you.
They do refer to us as that.
Well, that's awesome. So we're going to hear more about this whole giving thanks and appreciating your employees when we come back from break. Stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate. Join us at cobrt.com/live. Thanks. Welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. We are having a great conversation here with Anthony Lambatos. He's the owner of Footers Catering. Oh, all right, I'm going to start that over. He is the owner of Footers Catering. Welcome, Anthony. We're having a great convo about giving thanks to our employees.
Thank you, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here and a fun topic, especially very relevant this time of year.
Yes, absolutely. It's, we've got November, which you said might be a little bit of a slow month because people are wanting to do their own catering for the holidays. I disagree with that personally. I'm not a cook, so I would love to have mine catered.
We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can still help you.
But, you're getting ready in this preparation time for December, and it's all about giving thanks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're all about. So tell me more about why it's important to show this gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, gratitude is something that gets talked about quite a bit, but by and large, what I see in most companies is that it's not expressed. And there's a great quote, William Arthur Ward, who's a writer, he says, feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. And the effort it takes, I think, at first is almost insurmountable. That you're like, oh my gosh, that's going to take too much effort, or I don't know how to say it, or so we just don't do it. And it's the easier, the path
Right.
of least resistance. We just go about our business. And when you think about the psychology and especially me having a 2-year-old, I start to see it a lot. That kids at an early age will misbehave or act out just to get attention.
Yeah.
Because they'd rather have any attention, even if it's negative attention, than no attention at all. And the same thing goes in the workforce, that ignoring employees leads to greater disengagement than actually negative feedback or yelling or creating a hostile environment. That people are more willing to put up with that than being ignored or feeling like they're not appreciated. And so I think it's one of those things that, from a mental mindset of like, well, then, from the owner or the manager or the boss, well, they're getting paid, they should feel appreciated. I think those days are gone, and we have to think about other ways to be appreciating our team. And I think it's important for a couple of reasons. One is the impact it has on the person giving that gratitude. One of my favorite authors is Sean Acker, and he has a book called The Happiness Advantage. And he has one of my favorite TED Talks, but it dives into, four or five steps that you can take to improve your happiness. And one of which is expressing an element of gratitude every day, of just doing one thing each day and letting somebody else know that you appreciate them or you're thankful for something they did. And it doesn't have to be big or long, but just taking the time to do that starts to shift your mindset into one of abundance and prosperity, as opposed to one of thinking about what I don't have. You really get in this mindset of, okay, oh my gosh, there is so much to be thankful for. And the more you're thinking about that, the more that persists, and you think about that and you see more and more opportunities and more things that you appreciate, which ultimately leads to a little bit more happiness.
Yeah, so you feed that happy gene by letting yourself and the world know that you are appreciative of the nice things around you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then on the flip side, what it does for the person receiving that. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to be appreciated.
Yes.
And there was this really cool chart that I saw, and it took Maslow's hierarchy of needs and it applied it to the business community. And so it said, at the end of the day, you need the physiological stuff, the food, the water, that translates to having the job. And then the safety, feeling safe. Well, that's, knowing that I'm coming to work and I have some job security, that I'm not coming to work every day worrying, am I going to lose my job? Because if you're coming to work feeling like you don't have job safety, then you're never going to focus on being able to perform at that ultimate level. You're always going to be focused in this fear of just doing enough so you don't get fired or don't lose your job. The next one is the belonging, and that's what we talked about, those relationships. How are we creating those relationships with one another at work and feeling like I like the people I work with? And then above that is the esteem and the recognition. And so as we come up the most successful companies are the ones that really start to realize, hey, we need to be serving these needs higher at the top of the pyramid and not just the ones down below. At the top, it talks about the self-actualization, and that translates to opportunities to do meaningful work, things that you feel like are making an impact. And so I think the recognition piece comes along with that of, hey, we really appreciate what you're doing, and here's how it's impacted our company. Here's what it's done to really be successful for our clients or for your coworkers, and really feeling like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Oh, absolutely. No, I did not know that they had a pyramid for the business side of stuff. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is one of my favorite shapes, if you will.
It's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to be said for that. So we're talking specifically about showing gratitude in a broader sense, but in a business,
right?
What kind of impact can that have on the organization and the employees?
That's a great question. The thing that we've seen at Footers is the enhanced trust that you have in one another. And we see trust being established in two ways. One is that, when somebody else is appreciating what you do and seeing what you do and recognizing you for that, all of a sudden you're less likely to have some negative assumptions about them or about their intentions. And 90% of, I think, workplace issues come from wrong assumptions or negative assumptions. And so if I know you, Alex, and we're friends outside of work, and I know a little bit more about you, and you've given me some pats on the back and noticed some of the things that maybe went unnoticed by other people, when you make a mistake and it impacts me, I'm going to be very slow to blame you and get mad, and I'm going to be much more patient in that scenario and say, hey, Alex, I know you didn't mean to do this, but this, we were struggling with this. Is there something I can help to make sure that doesn't happen again? And all of a sudden, it's a collaborative effort that enhances your teamwork. So when you have people that are truly appreciative of one another, the teamwork really balloons. We see, we talk about our teamwork wheel, that we have 5 departments, and each department is equally important. They all do different things. We have people in the culinary side, we have people in the sales side, we have people on the service side. We all have different functions, but if we don't do our jobs, then none of us will be successful. And so the minute one of us starts thinking that we're more important than another department, that wheel gets out of whack, and it's not going to go, or it's not going to be a very smooth ride. And so making sure that I appreciate my job's different from yours, all of a sudden we're going to be able to work much closer together and say, oh yeah, I may leave at 5 and you're not in the office, but I didn't realize you were doing proposals till 9 o'clock at night. Okay, now we have some different understanding and appreciation, and ultimately I think that leads to engagement. People feeling better about what they're doing and wanting to be more involved with where they work and what they do.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. If you're going to appreciate something, you want to spend more time in that place. You want to contribute more, right? It's a simple but definitely needs some caring there.
Exactly.
For sure. So, how are some ways that we can show gratitude?
Yeah. So, I think a thank you note is the thing that everybody thinks of. Is like writing somebody a note, and I think that's really impactful. I think an email is great. It's when you sit down and actually handwrite something, it does have a little bit more impact on it, and you can make that a part of your routine. When you think about doing that, if you can write one thank you note a week, that's 52 people a year that you said thank you to that are appreciating it. I just received one last week that I was shocked. It was somebody that I know, I have a lot of respect for, and it was completely out of the blue, and she just said, hey, I admire what you do and who you are, and I'm thankful that you're in my life and that we're connected through the business community. It was awesome. I mean, it made my day to get that note. So handwritten notes, I think, and it doesn't have to be mailed. You can put Post-it notes on somebody's desk at work.
Yeah.
You can do the email. I think it's good as well. I don't want to downplay that, because if that's the easiest thing and you can fire off one of those every single day or once a week, that's better than doing nothing, like we said. One of the things that we try to do at Footers, we call it walk in the 4 corners of, making sure that we're walking around and just saying hello and acknowledging everybody on our team. It's something that takes, 10 to 15 minutes, but I may learn something from somebody in asking them a question, or, hey, how's it going? Or how are we doing this? And they'll say, oh, hey, I think we might be able to do this a little bit better. Now, tell me more about that. What does that look like? And all of a sudden there's this question, there's this feeling of empowerment, and they know you care. And just, I walk around, say hi, and say thank you. Every day that I'm in the office, I try to make sure I'm touching everybody who works at our company. And then, acknowledgement is another thing that we talk about. How are we acknowledging people at meetings and acknowledging one another? We do a number of things at Footers, which we'll get into in the next segment. But looking at how we do that, and how we say that we started a meeting a couple months ago, and it just was everybody had to acknowledge one person around the team in terms of one thing they did to help them over the past 30 days. Really powerful thing that took 5-10 minutes out of our meeting, and almost everybody around the table got acknowledged at some point, which was kind of cool. It wasn't the intended consequence. Some people, it was very clear we're helping a lot of other people, but doing that, all of a sudden we're demonstrating these are the behaviors we want to see more of. These are the things that are going to get recognized here.
Yeah, that's a great exercise to have. That way you see who is going above and beyond, but not only that, maybe the people that you don't feel like get recognized very often still do other things that you're not thinking about.
Exactly. And in that public setting, that's awesome for them to be able to feel that recognition in front of their peers.
Absolutely. So stay with us. We're going to be talking more about this employee appreciation and gratitude in the next segment. And we're going to specifically touch on some of the things that Footers does with their employees. Stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate at cobrt.com/live. And welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. I'm Alex Hopkins, taking over for Tammy Schaefer today. And we have one of our favorite guests here, Anthony Lambatos. He joins us once a month. So sometimes we move him around. He's pretty sporadic. So you're going to have to check out cobrt.com/radio to find out where his shows are. But
thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
I don't mind being moved around.
It's quite all right. We're glad you work with us.
Oh,
exactly, yeah. So, Anthony, we are talking about this employee appreciation. And on the break, I mentioned, I'm also a flight attendant. Not a lot of people know that. And one of the things that I say all the time is I appreciate you.
Uh-huh.
Well, now I have this job and I see these guys, 9 to 5. And one of my coworkers, he was like, you say appreciate a lot. And I do. And I don't realize it. The sentiment is still there when I say it to these guys. But when you say it too much, sometimes it loses value.
It's really important. And when we're talking about this gratitude piece and showing appreciation, there is an element. It has to be genuine. And it has to be unique to an extent. And so we were talking in your scenario, as a flight attendant, you're seeing different people every few hours or every day as somebody different. And so it doesn't get lost on them because they hear you say it and they, it sounds really nice and they feel good about it. But when you're in that environment with the same people all day and saying the same thing, it does lose a little bit of that feeling that it's genuine. And so I love what you're saying about how you had to shift your mindset a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so I looked up some synonyms. I would love to be able to talk today. I did to really tailor it to what I was being thankful for with these guys. I value the time that you took out to help me do this project.
Right.
Yeah. And so
being specific about it as opposed to just saying, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yep.
So you utilize a lot of your time into making your company feel great.
Uh-huh.
So why have you put so much effort and emphasis on this for your employees?
So we've chatted about this before, but when April and I bought the business, really the most important thing to us was how do we create a great place to work? More so than being the biggest catering company in Denver, we wanted to put a lot of focus on how do we do something that's going to be a lot of fun, that people are going to enjoy doing, it started out a little bit just, we wanted to enjoy what we were doing. And when we went to work, if we're going to spend that much time there, we wanted it to be fun. And over time, we've seen how that's evolved into something that is really special, that it has created this incredible environment where people really, truly love their job. And we feel that when people love their job, we're just as excited about the events as our clients are. And it gives us the opportunity to provide a higher level of service because when you're having fun and you're enjoying it, it just comes naturally to be able to have that positive attitude. And we're in the events business. We're part of some of the most special days in people's lives. These are celebrations. And so if we come and we're not happy or excited to be there, everybody in the room feels that. And that's been just a huge focus of ours. And so that's a big reason we've put that emphasis on it.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. So you have this Jimmy Bucks. I've heard this before, but
yes.
So let's talk about your Jimmy Bucks and your employee recognition program.
Right. So Jimmy Bucks pays a little bit of tribute to my dad, Jimmy. And when any of our team members do something that embodies one of our core values, our team members can submit a request for them to get a Jimmy Buck. And so that request, they can do it online, or manually. They submit it through myself or April. So we get a chance to see all the cool stuff that's going on and that's being done. And then whatever they did is transponded onto these little dollars that have my dad's face on it. And then they're given their Jimmy Bucks in a public setting. So at the end of we have a weekly meeting for our managers to go over all the events for the week. And at the end of the meeting, I'll give out the Jimmy Bucks for the week. Or, if we're at an event and it's for service people, we'll do it at the pre-shift meeting. Or when we have company events, we'll try to give them out so that everybody, again, we talked about that public recognition, sees what this person did and they get that warm warm feeling that they're being recognized for doing something. And it also, again, says here's the behavior we're rewarding, and here's what we want to see. So it's a really cool program. Once they get their Jimmy Bucks, they can use it in our swag store to buy hats, jackets. They can get gift cards. There's all kinds of stuff. We have a whole catalog, and everything has fun names and different stuff like that. We even do suggested people want different things, and we'll do little mini Kickstarter campaigns. So they came and they said, oh, can we get sweatpants? We really want sweatpants. I was like, what do you want sweatpants for? Like, you can't
Everybody loves sweatpants.
Yeah, but you can't wear sweatpants at work. You want Footers sweatpants? And yeah. I was like, all right, Sam, what's the minimum order on sweatpants? And he's like, I think we got to get 12. I was like, all right, you get 12 people to say they'll spend 5 Jimmy Bucks on a pair of sweatpants. We'll do it. And so they sent out this survey, and sure enough, they got it. And so we ordered sweatpants.
I support that. Yeah, because you've created such a great environment that people want to wear their swag at home.
Well, that's kind of a fun thing. And we want to create cool stuff. We do a t-shirt contest so that everybody votes on. So it's something that they want to wear, and then they can use that as one of their setup shirts. So they're, can wear it to work, and it's something they're proud of. So we're always trying to evolve that. But the Jimmy Buck program has been really cool and something that has evolved over time. I mean, we now track how many Jimmy Bucks are given, who gives them, how many are received, and what categories, what core values they're given for. So then we'll go in and we can use that as a tool. If we have managers that aren't writing Jimmy Bucks, we'll address that with them and sit down and say, hey, you really, you're at the bottom of the list of people giving out Jimmy Bucks. That's probably a problem. There's opportunities to recognize people, just like we said at the beginning of the segment. And if as a manager you're not recognizing some of your direct reports on a frequent basis, something needs to change on there. So it's been cool to see the evolution of that program.
Oh, that is neat. So it's just manager to employee. There's no employee between?
Employee to employee can do it as well.
That's
so
fun.
It can write it. It does have to be for something specific. So they can't just say, Alex worked hard. It's got to be. And the things that it blows my mind. We have a service moment of the year that we give. So we're going through right now and looking at all the different things. But we've had things like, somebody mowed a lawn. There was a tent in the field, and there were all these weeds, and it was really, just unsightly.
Yeah.
And so they had a mower, and one of our team members went and mowed the lawn. I mean, that's not something you expect a caterer to do.
Not at all.
But one of our team members jumped in to do that. We had one of our clients, she was walking out at the end of the night. We were still there cleaning up, and she had a flat tire. And one of our chefs went and changed her tire for her. I mean, those are things that's an incredible, that's really at the pinnacle of some of the cool stuff that people do. But there's things all the time that, I forgot this on the event, and, so-and-so brought it over to us at the last minute and saved the day. And so, it's a cool way for us to recognize one another and highlight some of the awesome stuff that's going on.
Absolutely. So you've got the Jimmy Bucks program. What other ways? And the vacation. I realize that may not be so much under the appreciated category, but I think it shows. Okay, all right. I'm glad we're on the same page for that.
It's definitely part of our whole, culture and our idea of what we want to try to create. We have our annual core value awards where we actually give out an award for every one of our 9 core values to one person. We have our trip, our vacation. We also do anniversary trips. So if you're on our management team, after 5 years of working at Footers, you get a culinary learning experience. And so, and it's every 5 years. So Lindsay, one of our planners, just celebrated 10 years. And she, this year, we took her and her husband to Greece with the International Catering Association, and it was a culinary learning journey that was really, really cool and something that was awesome. And we're planning Colbert's 10-year trip that's going to be in January, and she's going to the Cayman Cookout in Grand Cayman, and there's celebrity chefs like Anthony Bourdain and Eric Ripert, and Emeril Lagasse is going to be there, Robert Irvine, so all kinds of star-studded chef crew that we're going to be able to go to culinary demos and lunches and dinners, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's amazing. You guys must have no turnover rate. I would imagine.
We still have some, but we really try to limit that. And, yeah.
Well, yeah, creating a great place to work, and you guys also take a very good mindset upon making sure people feel comfortable at where they work. You take and invest time in that. We'll be right back on Connect and Collaborate. Stay with us. And welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer for the day, taking over for Tammy Schaefer. And we have Anthony Lambatos here with us talking about appreciating our employees. And so we left off in the last segment. We got really into it. We were talking about these trips, these culinary trips that you have for your managers that have been there for 5 years. And it's every 5 years.
Every
it's not
5
just
years.
once.
That's right.
So I was enthralled with this. I had so many questions about it. So there are two great places. One was in Greece. This other one you're planning is in the Cayman Islands. But they are culinary themed, which I still think they've got to be extremely motivated by. I would love to meet Anthony Bourdain, and I don't cook. So, so tell me more.
Yeah, so they get a say in what the trip is going to be, and sometimes we'll pair them together. So Lindsay and Colbert went on their 5-year trip. It was a cruise to Alaska that was sponsored by Food and Wine magazine, and so there were all kinds of cooking demos, and we got a behind the scenes tour of the kitchen, and it was a really cool thing. But we'll present a couple of ideas that we think are kind of fun, but ultimately it's their trip, and so we want it to be something that they're excited about. And so we will work with them, and like I said, April and I kind of put together some bare bones of here's a couple of ideas that could be fun, and are they looking for something that's more tropical or more cultural, or those are the kind of questions we go through, and then we try to find something that fits, and then we go with it. So it's a lot of fun to put those together and to be part of them.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. So, we are coming up on the holidays here. Next week is Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Already.
That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Can you believe that?
It comes quicker and quicker every year. The older I
Right?
get, the quicker the holidays come.
I know.
So you are in the service industry. You're in the entertainment industry, really.
Yes.
So let's talk about this Thanksgiving entertaining.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Thanksgiving is a fun time of year for us as a company. I mean, we are in the food business, and we've started to establish some of our own traditions as a company, not necessarily on Thanksgiving, but right around surrounding it. So one of our favorite things is we do a give thanks, our Thanksgiving thankfuls. And so this is for our management team. Everyone on our management team has to submit one sentence of what they're thankful for of all 15 members of the management team. And so they submit all of those things, and we take all the names off because we don't really think that's important, and we'll put it all into one document. And last year it was this book that was by Simon Sinek that was awesome, and it talked about teamwork and being together. And so we printed them and inlaid them into the book for everybody, and so everybody got their individual book. And what we'll do is at a breakfast, it's usually the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, we'll take turns reading those, and so I may be reading Stephanie's, and Stephanie might be reading April's, or it just goes around the table that you're given a random one to read, and you start saying, okay, these are all about Alex. And so it's all these 15 sentences of what people are thankful about for you, and it's a really, really cool thing that our team enjoys, and just all the warm and fuzzies that you
Right.
get.
I'm sure of that.
It could sound a little cheesy, but it's so meaningful. And if you go around our office, people have every year of them hanging or at their desk, and it's a really cool thing. So we do that, and then also everybody gets their choice if they can have a turkey or a ham. We're in the food business, so it's something fun we can do for all of our employees. So those are some of the things that we do at Thanksgiving. I also wanted to highlight, I love this, speaking of other traditions that companies had. My sister did this at her company, and she had everybody on her team, she managed as a team of people, take a picture of their Thanksgiving table with nobody at it. So they put them all into one document, and then they had to guess whose table was whose. And I thought it was a really unique idea because it gave everybody an insight into how each person celebrated Thanksgiving, whether that was a small group of 4 people or a huge gathering of 20 people, or more. I thought that was a really cool, fun thing to do.
That's actually really cute. I saw something not too long ago, and it was a Facebook post, and it was just this one lady at her large Thanksgiving table, and she wanted that picture by herself because she had done it all. So she was like, listen, I get to be in the picture alone. I've created all of this meal by myself.
This is all me. You mentioned you don't cook. What do you do for Thanksgiving?
I bum off of other people, so I go to my sister's,
Nice.
I'll go visit family, and a lot of times I actually do fly over
Okay.
Thanksgiving, so I'm taking people to their families, and that's one of the few times a year I feel really appreciated at my job by the
Ah.
public. People are so happy to be going home and seeing their family. The day before Thanksgiving is actually the #1 travel day of the year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so getting people to their homes is really nice to see. Sometimes I haven't seen my dad in 10 years. I'm really excited. I've been abroad, or just really warm and fuzzy, if you will.
I had never really thought about that, but that makes a lot of sense, and I can, just that positive energy of everybody kind of, going in the same direction, where, usually when you're flying, it's, hundreds of
Chaos
people with
and-
hundreds of different agendas and missions of why they're on that plane, and so around that time of year, it largely, you're right, is all about going home or going to see family, and
Yeah.
people are excited and a little more joyful. So it probably makes your job more fun
Oh,
too.
it definitely does. It's as chaotic as it can be, and it's
Yes.
because it is such a large travel day. There's a lot to be unthankful for that day, But at the end of the day, when people are on the aircraft and we're getting them home, it's a lot of fun, and I see a lot of joyous faces when they're getting off that airplane. They're like, "I'm home."
Sure.
Yeah, I
sure.
love being able to do that for them. So also into the entertaining, I don't cook, as we
Uh-huh.
mentioned, so I bum off of other people, but we probably have quite a few listeners here that would maybe like some pointers on doing Thanksgiving at their house if they're having everyone over. Maybe they're
Holiday
intimidated.
entertaining. I mean, it's the business we're in, so it's something that's a lot of fun for us to talk to people about. Like I said, we don't do a whole lot of Thanksgiving dinners for people. We do, a couple each year. We also work with Cafe 180, which is a great organization, and we help them with their Thanksgiving meals. But yeah, for people that are entertaining at home, we talk about a few things. The first of which is that first impression. When guests arrive, you can make a huge impact by having something for them right when they arrive, whether that's champagne and, doing something as simple as putting, a raspberry or cranberry into the champagne glass makes it this elegant, like, oh, wow, this is really cool. People are excited to be there anyway, but, when you can make that first impression and have that, cocktail or glass of champagne ready for them right when they walk in the door, it sets the tone for this is going to be an awesome event and puts people in that great mood for a festive and fun atmosphere.
Yeah.
Following up on that, the first things they eat are going to be the most memorable. As much as we want to say it's the turkey and it's the stuffing and it's everything at the table, we would encourage people to be very intentional about what those hors d'oeuvres are. And instead of just putting out a bowl of nuts or, some cheeses, think about how you have an opportunity to do something a little bit unique or a little bit more fun that people are going to be, really truly remember. And if they're going to eat something and start filling up on it, you want it to be something that's really, really great. So we always encourage people to put some thought into what are those first things that they're going to be eating. And it may be encouraging people to try something that they wouldn't normally try. One of the easy things, it's a peppadew pepper. Most people aren't familiar with it at all, but you can get it at the pepper bar at Whole Foods or any of the gourmet grocery stores. And it's a sweet pepper, but it has a little bit of spice to it. And filling that with a little bit of cheese, it's one of the hors d'oeuvres we do on a regular basis, but it's easy to do at home. And it's one of those fun things that people aren't necessarily familiar with, but it'll leave that lasting impression for them.
That's fun. One of the things that I do, my mom taught me a crab dip, right, with crab in it, and so I have
Yes.
brought it to parties for years, and it's one of the few things that people are like, "That's delicious," and I'm like, "It's the simplest thing I know how to make, and I can do it an hour before I show up."
Yes, but it's exciting.
It
and
is
it's
exciting.
fun.
I've gotten more compliments on that than anything else I've ever attempted to make.
Well, and one of the things that I also always encourage when you're hosting, people always ask, "What can I bring? What can I bring?" And the tendency as the host is to say, "Nothing, nothing. I got it." And you're really doing a disservice to that person. More so, you think you're doing them, a favor by saying don't bring anything, but people want to feel like they're contributing. And you say, you're bumming off of other people. You still don't want to show up empty-handed. You want
Right.
to show up and feel like you contributed to that. So I always encourage when you're entertaining, Thanksgiving or any holiday, allow your guests to bring something that's going to augment the party. Think about something that, yes, you could do, but it's not going to, make or break it, or it's not going to be the focal point of what you're trying to do. Allow them to bring a piece of the meal and let them feel good about their contribution, and give them an opportunity to be recognized as well.
I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much. This has been a great conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you again next month. And yeah, join us tomorrow on Connect and Collaborate at 4 o'clock.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.